My name is Tim Lewis. I'm the Member of Parliament from Kitchener-Conestoga, which is in the Waterloo region in Ontario, Canada, and I'm a member of the Liberal Party. Why did I run for political office? Some people run because they want to see change, and that's what happened with me. I had no intention of getting involved at any political level. This is the first position I've had as an elected official. So it wasn't something that I had planned on doing. It was just a reaction. I wanted to see some change in government, and I got more and more involved and realized the way to get in there and sometimes to roll up your sleeves and do it yourself. So I got involved simply to see if I can make a difference and change the things that were happening. Well, I was elected in 2019, and before that, my entire career, I've been a full-time musician. So that's the world that I knew. I was only in for a few months when the pandemic struck, and the world changed. And from the musician's standpoint and the art standpoint, every stage in the world went dark. And I was very fortunate to be in the position I was in because I understood exactly what artists were going through. And so I think one of the things I'm most proud of is that through the pandemic, I was constantly at the table in Ottawa advocating for artists and the arts who helped us get through the pandemic. And it was their turn, and it's still, there'll be a longer recovery. So to be that voice kind of representing arts and the arts sector, because that's the ecosystem, the world that I came from, was something very proud. That's on the big level. On the micro level, I think it's the little things that make my job rewarding. There are a lot of things that happen, and once in a while, something small just touches you and you realize this is why I did it. For me, it was a few days ago, an Afghan family that we helped come here and settle, the parents and two small children. They invited me to share a meal with them at their place, and I just came over right before I headed back to Ottawa, just sat down and met them and their families, and it made a difference for me. It really did. It's those small little things that are rewarding that make you realize this is why I do this. Well, I guess what motivates me would be to be able the chance to make a difference. You don't know how long you're going to be in this position. And so I feel this sense of maximizing every minute and saying the privilege that I have, the difference that I can make, you don't know how long it's going to last. So I feel like when I wake up in the morning, I think, who can I help today? So something that I learned about politics from coming from the world I came from, the music business, was the hours. I don't think anyone realizes that how many hours elected officials put in at any level, whether it's municipal, provincial, federal. I certainly didn't know that either. You see certain things for whether you're sitting in Parliament or the hours of the meetings that you have or the events that you go to, but when you combine that, they're full days. If I'm awake, I'm working on something, which I don't mind. I enjoy that part of it. Again, I've come from a world being self-employed, so I'm okay to the hours, but I don't think I understood how many hours a day you'd be committed to doing this. One of the biggest challenges of democracy today is the hyper-partisanship that we see. I think that sometimes people, elected officials, politicians, and even citizens are talking past each other instead of talking to each other, or even more important, listening to each other. And I think that social media and is hurting and dividing segments of people and separating. I think we have more in common than we do, that divides us. And I think when you talk to people one-on-one, you can have that relationship, but through social media, sometimes you get the biases that you want to see. And I think that's something that as a society we have to face and address head-on and see how we can, as Canadians, we still have our differences. We can disagree, but we don't have to be disagreeable doing it. The next generation inspires me. I truly think that this next generation cares more than anyone before them. They see the social issues that are affecting them, And everyone, they see the environmental issues, they see the political issues, the changes that they can make. I think that younger generation, it gives me and hopefully other people's hope. It's a generation that's facing challenges right now that other generations might not have had, and still has a positive attitude and believes in making a difference. So it's that hope that gives me hope. If I could go back and tell my 16-year-old self a piece of advice, I would say don't worry what you want to be down the road. At 16, I was still thinking about possibly going to med school and maybe being an eye doctor or teacher. I bounced around a lot, but I knew music was in my heart. And so at 16, I would not have dreamed that I would have been an elected official. And I think something that's interesting about being an elected official is that there's no course. You don't get a degree in something specifically. In my case in Ottawa, it's the House of Commons. It's supposed to be the common people. So if you asked me a few years before I became a member of Parliament, do you see yourself as being a member of Parliament? I would have said no. I was politically active, but never thought that was going to happen. So if I were to share a message with the younger generation, I would say it's okay not to know what you want to do. Just whatever you like, do that, and do it well, and do it for the right reasons.